All right, so with our handsome Mr. Sterling, he's like, I was already ready. We're gonna do a little bit with going to our bed. Oh, smart man, yes. So if you're practicing a bit with place or targeting a cot or a dog bed or a blanket, whatever it might be, remember to start off first with just making it seem fun to be on the thing before you throw in, for example, the difficulty of throwing in your stay. So if your babe is maybe more comfortable or more sort of again, they've rehearsed it a little bit more, then you could maybe go right into your bed behavior and then ask for that stay. So, but let's say for right now, he's rocking a really nice job with going to his place position. I'm going to maybe go ahead and try a bit with the stay, and I want to throw out some leave it's like I did a little bit last time with Mr. B, Mr. Bodie last time, and see how Mr. S handles it. So I'm going to go ahead and tell him to stay, and we're just going to work again a few stays just with me moving, working a little bit with some distraction. Okay, again, I'm going to try and reach for some items, wiggle them around, and then see if Mr. S can rock that lovely sit stay. So remember, if he does better in a sitting position for starters, start there. If he does better in a down position, again, rock whichever body position may set your babe up for greater success. Because the main goal is we just want them to be able to hold that position and stay still. Yes. So very pretty. So I might just do a little loop. So if let's say he adjusts to kind of see where I'm at, not the end of the world, I might again stay. Gorgeous. If he wants to get cozy in that lovely down, perfectly fine. I'm going to do some wiggling. I got some new goodies out, plop them out for display for others to find some nice toys for another time. Very nice. So if he goes to wiggle, I'm just going to make sure that when I feed him, ready, down, it's for when he's back into the down position. So if let's say you're working on down stays versus sit stays and your puppy wiggles, not the end of the world, but I would try to help them be successful again. So I might go down. Yes. So now I might tell him to again stay, and we're just going to restart it. So if let's say when I'm trying something, it gets too challenging and he's wiggling or he's breaking from his position, then it could be that I'm working it a little bit too hard, too fast. So I'm going to go back. Remember how sometimes I mentioned going from easy to a little bit harder to easy to a little bit harder. That's kind of what I want to rock right now for Mr. S for a few moments. Nice. I'm just going to cough drop for me, not a dog snack. So right here, yes. Making some noises. Yes, very nice. So, but I know we discussed a little bit for Mr. S. This could be another great way to start building up a little bit with some sort of duration and staying still while you might be doing other things like getting up off the couch, sitting back down, and he's still vegging. Because I know for him, sometimes he is a little bit of a shadow and he might have a little bit of a harder time as we try to leave or move from one environment to another within the home. So this could be another great way to help him. Oh, he says, I found a crumb. So that was my bad. We probably dropped a few kibbles here and there, so not the end of the world. So we're going to go back into our down. He's like, why not now? Ready? Down. Okay, stay. So if he wiggles a bunch, I'm going to sort of change it up where I want to only feed him for when he goes into position and when he holds it versus for getting up and then resetting him up. Because otherwise, sometimes puppies will start to think, if I get up and replace, I get another bonus bit. And I want him to start thinking that if I wiggle, I get to have to wait a few moments, work the skill, and then be fed for the downstay. This is looking really pretty. Doing a nice job. Oh, he says, I'm so excited. So, and sometimes if I speak a little sweetly to him, which is perfectly fine, he gets all excited. So if you find that at times, even your voice gets him jazzed or a little overwhelmed, you can sometimes do things a little bit calmer too. So this doesn't mean I'm going to get mad at him or try to scare him to pay attention. But let's say if I were to get too jazzed myself and then he's like, oh boy, that can sometimes throw off your puppy and get them a little bit too excited. And then it's harder for them to rein it in if you two are also squealing. There's going to be plenty of moments where getting excitable can be really helpful, like coming when called or getting your puppy to engage with you versus some distraction. And then sometimes too, it could be fun to practice getting them a little jazz and then try to bring them back from that. Because if your puppy tends to have a hard time as other people squeal, then that could be something that you could practice as another thing to work on. So again, I'm going to tell him to stay. We're going to try again for a little moment. Nice. Much better. Nice. He gets so excited. His little leggies start wiggling. Oh, that one got stuck in my finger. Here you go. Nice. We have the funny sounds in the building. They don't always get picked up by the microphone, but as the heat comes on and off and the building cools a little bit, it starts to crack and make some funny sounds. Ready? Bed. Down. Okay. Stay. So, but if let's say this was getting really hard for him, just like I mentioned a little earlier for Mr. B, I would highly recommend to lower the criteria at times, see if when you make it a little easier, does he do better? And then sometimes maybe he needs a break. So let's say I'm gonna end the stay for him so he can take a little break from this exercise. I'm gonna feed him his last morsel for being stuck. I'm gonna say all done, and then we're gonna get up and we're gonna break from the position. So if Mr. S is having a hard time being stuck, then we may find for a few moments having some movement, like I had mentioned earlier. Ready? Find it. So where to go? Ready? Find it. It's like, I did not see that. Right over here, sir. There we go. He's like, I got to use my eyeballs and my sniffer. So much work. So the benefit of some of these movement behaviors is now your babe gets a little break from being stationary, but maybe your puppy would like to on their own, yes, go and target the spot. You could feed for that response too. So you could even, again, every time he goes and gets near the item or he goes and places himself on the target bed or cot or whatever you might have right there, yes. And you can capture those moments where he does it on his own. So if let's say, for example, most of the fun happens when you go and target your thing, yes, then that becomes the thing your puppy might readily give you on his own versus waiting or sort of being told to go do that thing. So now I might tell him to stay, and we're going to try again a little bit with a sit stay for just a few moments. Yes. So if let's say he gets up, I might, again, this time I might ask him bed. I'm going to see if I can get that little sit. He says, I'm thinking about it. Nice. I'm going to tell him to stay. He's like, oh, I'm getting winded. So this is where, again, for me, I'm not a huge stickler. So if my puppy's going to do better in a downstay, I'm just going to go ahead and let him rock a downstay. So it is kind of one of those things where, not to pick your battles, but to like make sure that it's something that seems more achievable if we work it a certain way. So like if, let's say, for example, he's got a little bit more energy and he'd like to maybe do some more wiggles, maybe the place behavior is a little bit harder today because maybe he's just not feeling it. So there's going to be days just like with us where we may not feel quite as comfortable, and therefore our, let's say, capabilities for the day may not be the same as our usual. So then that might be a moment where we have to take an easier day or a mental health day or whatever it might be. So again, stay. He's really doing a very nice job though. So again, I like to feed the bed or between his little front feet to kind of keep the value low versus trying to meet me halfway and leap up to grab for that snack. Nice. So and typically you would be sometimes marking like the position, like a lovely yes, and then here comes your food. But it's again one of those things where if you're feeding for while in the position, that sometimes is again a moment where he understands like this is where the good stuff is happening. If you're finding he's a little bit confused, marking things does help them learn a little bit better. So remember the marker word, typically I like to use my YES, means that whatever you're doing was appropriate, the thing I was looking for, and the reason why you're now going to get your paycheck. Nice. Oh, he's like, oh, my brain melted. So if, again, I lost him, I might one more time. Ready? Down. Stay. I'm not going to rock this too much longer. I don't want to make this so hard that becomes every few moments he's getting up and he's having a harder day with it. So right here, yes. Maybe we'll do one more little rep and then we'll call it a day for this bed. Oh, my shoe made a funny noise. Yes. So right here, I'm gonna let him finish his last little morsel for the stay. I'm gonna go ahead and say, all done. He's like, why not? And we're gonna maybe get him up and wiggling. So just so he doesn't get more interested, he's like, no, I'm going right back to it. So I'm gonna give him a little breather from the bed though. I'm gonna put it away for a second, just off to the side. We'll just plop it over here so he doesn't keep targeting it for now. But I want to see if I can work a little bit with him in a few little moments of checking in. And then I want to see if we can work a little bit with some of those leave-its for a few moments. So remember how we were working with that front position? Fronts can be really helpful as well because, like, let's say there is a distraction like a yucky leave-it item and your pup tends to be a little ahead. You could then have them get called into a front and then your puppy could do that lovely little U-turn and head back to you. Ready? Sterling. Front. Yes, nice job. So we could work another little front. Yes, smart boy. Ready? Front. Yes. So these are looking really pretty. He's like, let's hold feet. So then from here, I might bring him back into my side or finish position. He's like, where'd it go? So if he's a little bit unsure, I might take a step or two with him. Ready? And then set him back up by my leg. So sometimes if you have to add, a few more steps to get your puppy to move a certain way, that's perfectly fine. So because if, again, your puppy has no idea what the heck we're doing and we're starting off way too challenging, he's going to just get flustered, confused, and just want to give up. So again, front. Yes. Nice. So again, front. Yes. Nice. Front. Yes. So he's getting nice and close. He's looking really pretty. So maybe I'll bring him to the side position on this side so you can see him a little bit better. Nice. Oh my goodness, we lost a kibble. Can you find it? He's like, meh. There it is. Nice job. Beautiful. Gorgeous. Ready? We'll do another little find it. Gorgeous. But I think since he's feeling a little bit tired, we'll probably give him a little breather after these exercises and then have him take a little break. But for Mr. S, he's really doing a gorgeous job. I would recommend, I know we've discussed a little bit with some separation anxiety and some potential options for help for him. But I would still take a peek-see over some of the separation training practice and some of the previous videos that were sent along that were not mine, but some other trainers that I really enjoy. There is another lady that, there's a few actual trainers that I share information on my Facebook page as well for other separation anxiety recommendations for help. So you may find that that could be something that maybe checking out some of their content. I know Rescued by Training, she has a lot of free information, which is helpful. So if you're really struggling with that separation anxiety or, trying to build up separation training where it's safe and comfortable for him too, those could be some nice resources to take a peek-see over. But we'll give Mr. S a little breather. We'll maybe do another little find it, and we'll call it a day for this handsome boy. But he did such a good job for day number 4.